they're a little snug.
No, I think it looks good.
Because they're jeans, though, so they're not
Yeah, pull it down. Yes, sir. Just try to keep your legs crossed.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right when you're sipping. Welcome back to
Buckle Up, baby.
Buckle Up with Mike and Ami, the Buckle Up Podcast, episode 25.
25th anniversary of our first episode.
Yeah, I guess so. That's exciting.
Yeah.
We're rolling, Michael.
Yeah, man.
We are rolling.
We'll be at 100 one day.
Yeah.
That'll be cool.
Probably in how many days from now? I think we know exactly when we'll be at it.
In 75 weeks. What is that, over a year? Year and a half?
Oh, my God. Let's do 2 a week. So, what's the latest, Michael?
So, you tell me. You last time we met, you had finished night one of your 2-night residency at StandUp New York.
Yeah.
You were feeling good.
I was feeling good, and I didn't want to feel too good because I had a second show that night.
Right. And you weren't sure if you were going to bomb like that other comic.
Yes. I didn't want to I didn't want to get too cocky in my head. Like, if I said it out loud, oh, it was great and how good I felt, it could have affirmed a sense of comfort for me.
Yeah.
And I, in a way, like I was certainly anxious for the first one and had the nerves. And then for the second one, it's like just as much for different reasons, because now you're like, okay, I did well one night, so can I match that? How do I feel again? Can I repeat it? And it was just a lot of fun. It was a confirmed kill.
Great.
I brought up the energy more. I had more fun with it. I played with it more. And to be able to do 2 sets back to back consistently as confirmed kills, validated by other comics, I was flying high for the next couple of days, just pure euphoria, which I haven't had post-performance.
Right. Yeah, you were calling me. You were telling me the president's trying to kill you and you need to leave your family.
Oh, please.
And
I wasn't there. I wasn't there, but I was certainly in a place where it's like everything is very crystal clear, and I have to be careful when I'm like that.
Right. Yes, I want to hear it. Do you worry about that?
I watch it.
Because that sucks.
I watch
that
it.
Sucks.
It does. It's just part of life. It comes with the package. I watch it like, okay. Especially because you're getting very little sleep. I was getting very little sleep just from being out late for the shows and then up early to work. And then the very next day after my set at Stand Up New York, I went straight. It was just constant momentum. I went to Minneapolis the next morning, 6:30 a.m. flight to record some Gary V content shtick for this Call of Duty team called the New York Subliners. Fascinating world that I discovered.
So I don't know anything about it. All I saw was your stories on Instagram, and I didn't understand what was going on.
I'm sure you didn't, because I didn't, and I was doing it. You know the scene in Blade when he walks in and all the vampires are dancing in this underworld?
In the club?
In the club.
Yeah, and the blood comes down from...
So I felt like I went to this hotel in Minneapolis for what's called the Major 2 conference, which is one of 4 major competitions of competitive esports Call of Duty players and teams.
Right.
And it's a huge ballroom filled with hundreds of people watching these competitive teams from different states, from Atlanta, New York, all over the country, competing in Call of Duty video games. And people are cheering and going crazy, and there's announcers, and it looks like a massive sports event, because it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is this the whole time? So I'm learning this terminology, SMGs, submachine gun, and assault rifle players. The team, I think I just did a Gary Vee voice accidentally. The team players are all nervous day of game day, and they're celebrities to like the virgins online waiting to go in.
How old are they?
Some of them are like 16 to 18 to 20s, but some of them are making 50K, 100K from tournaments throughout the year.
And they're streaming on Twitch.
So they build their followings on Twitch and Discord. And the winners of these tournaments make like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
The teams.
And
then throughout the year, there's other tournaments. So what a way to stick it to the boomers who told us all to stop playing video games when these kids...
Wrong.
The truth is they were right, because we would have been broke and failures because this stuff wasn't around by the time we became adults.
Right.
So maybe they were right. They were just off on their timing.
Yeah.
But these kids are also super serious and dedicated, and they have like names like Flash and FaZe and sickle dickle. I don't know. But they play on these big screens and everyone's cheering and I'm like watching this and I'm there trolling as Gary V. That was the shtick.
So one of the teams hired you or the event?
So one of the teams is like a Minnesota-based team that like Gary V's actually a part owner in or something, and I was brought in as a
what a creep.
Whatever.
He's a part owner in a child video game.
It's not child. I'm saying the esports franchise is like the Call of Duty ownership. Like the investors are legit.
Wait,
for all these teams.
So what does he invest in? The tournaments?
The teams all have owners.
Oh, there's a league.
There's a league.
Okay, he invests in the league.
Yeah,
in a team in
the league, but the team is funded by whatever, the esports franchise that is like Xbox, and all the sponsors are Microsoft. Legit.
You know what Tim Dillon would say about all this?
That what?
It's just a way for pedophiles to sort of do it above the...
There was a few of those, and they happened to be very nice there. They were gentle. I hear that, but it's more that what you're looking at is, like the Revenge of the Nerds. It's like these kids are...
Yeah.
It's super serious and invested and sponsored. I mean, this looked like Vegas a little bit, a mini Vegas.
It's definitely. I'm out of touch in that way. I know it's a big deal, and I don't know it at all.
The first time I'd ever seen it, one of the things that was fascinating was the people I was doing it with on the team who were like putting it together were telling me about how they grew up just watching YouTube. They didn't watch shows. They watched YouTube and games. And what it harps on is when you're sitting there with your brother and he's playing a video game and you're just watching him with your friends.
I did that all the time.
Growing up. So that was the seed.
Yeah.
And then eventually just expand that audience from your little brother watching you to Twitch. And then on Twitch, you have to subscribe to people to follow for most people. So these people, $5 a month, they get a couple thousand followers watching them play video games every day for a few hours. And I was even talking with the team about like doing do you play Call of Duty? I'm like, no. It's like, would you want to like work? I'm like, I don't think I could commit 3 hours a day to Call of Duty as a career move. It's just blowing my mind. But people do, and it's real. I was blowing my mind. Anyway, I had a lot of fun doing it, but it was straight off of the stand-up set, just to connect the two.
Yeah.
So I'm going to that and I'm shooting that, and over the course of it all, I just end up in this sort of, in a good place.
And your job was to go around and create sketches, I'm like gonna be man on the street, jaywalking type
Correct,
stuff?
Gary on the street, kind of bad Gary 2.0. We came up with Gary 2.0.
Okay.
I go around and I'm like trolling everybody, like, that's real shit. Like, I think they're gonna fucking lose. That's okay. I love losing. Like, I'm doing all that. So it's basically Gary V parody content.
Got it.
And I'm going around to people like, hey, do you have a question for me? He's like, Gary, how do you feel about the subliners? He's like, honestly, I don't care, because I think, like, honestly, if you get a bullet in the head, that's somebody else put that into your head. That's just your opinion. Like, I was doing that.
Yeah.
And like messing with the terminology. Like, I think in SMG, which stands for submachine gun, I was like, I think in SMG you could flip that into an NFT. That other team has PMS, and now I have syphilis. Like, I was just totally off my rails.
Yeah. And people liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun. And now we're rolling it out into content. They put it out on their channel.
Cool.
And I'm putting it out. I have a bunch of the footage too, so I'm going to be doing stuff with it, which is a lot of fun. And then, and I was just walking around trolling everybody.
Yeah.
I went up to the trophy that they win, which is this big shield that looks like a Comic-Con, like, what's it called? Cosplay shield.
Yeah.
That you win.
Yeah.
And excuse me, how much for the shield? I could flip that shit. I'll give you $5. The guy's like, this is priceless. And I'd be like, 3 cents? It's a fucking steal. Like, so I was just messing with people, and it was a lot of fun. I'll show you clips after. Maybe we'll air it on the pod. Yeah. But I went up to the snack bar, and I was like, excuse me, how much for the Twix bar? I went up to this, like, the refreshments to buy snacks, and I asked them if I could flip their Twix bar.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, this is $2. I'm like, I'll give you 25 cents. That was the bits.
Right.
That was the shtick.
Right. I don't know Gary Vee that well. Although I saw him, I just watched him. I watched the full episode with him on Andrew Schultz.
Yes.
On Flagrant, and it was great.
They brought us up.
Oh, yes. I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Yeah, first of all, do you hear what he said about all the people who are going to perform at VCon?
What's that? Well, he paused. He paused when they asked him that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he paused. So he said maybe. He paused.
What do you mean he paused?
When they said to him something along the lines of like, you should have them perform here, and he said like, we'll see.
Something that. No, but he said like there are people making comedy careers out of impersonating.
Yeah, I was like, I'm so proud of them, right?
Yeah,
like these people are getting, and like this was all, and then so he didn't. So in the clips, they rolled out the different impersonators.
Yeah. So the guy who they showed, I don't know what your relationship to him is. I thought he was hilarious.
Yeah, he's funny.
I thought he did a really good impression.
His name is Nimaz.
I thought he did a really good impression. This guy. I laughed at it.
We're in touch, him and I, because when we both got mentioned and shouted out in the little clips, because
who started doing it first, him or you?
I don't know the answer to that. Okay. I don't know the answer to that. I think I did.
Are you bigger than he is?
In terms of numbers, he has a good amount of followers on Instagram. I don't know his all across his platforms, but he's a Canadian guy, nice guy, does a lot of different sketches and skits online, and he has a Canadian following. So he's got like a couple 100,000 on Instagram.
He was like a softer. He was like a softer Gary Vee.
A little higher.
It was higher. It was higher.
It's a little higher. It's different angles, different things. But I found him because people were tagging me in his videos. And I'm like, oh, nice. Good. More the merrier.
I like you when Gary Vee is vulnerable and talks. The narrative, his narrative goes away for a second, and he goes somewhere and he actually talks like
not preachy, not in your face.
Yeah.
What did he do in that one?
He said something really nice where he was like, you didn't watch it?
I did.
Oh, well,
not the whole episode.
The part where he said he's gonna die, and then he'll trend for a day on Twitter, and then everyone will forget him. I thought
the fact is you're gonna die.
I thought that was and then the thing he said, he was like, I think he was like, what I'm good at is like knowing when something's gonna start. Like that's what I'm great at.
Detecting something.
Yeah, he said like he used to sell baseball cards. He said he overheard one conversation at a conference, at a convention. He sold his entire collection that day, and like a few months later, the whole market died. Like he's like, I'm not good at a lot of things. What I'm great at is like noticing a trend, and like so that's what I do. I notice trends
and point them out and scream from the rooftops.
Yeah, it was very like it wasn't. Yeah, it was very like understated.
Did you get a better impression of him watching?
I got a better impression of him. Yeah. Right. Oh, no, the best thing he said. This is the part I love most, where he's like that thing where people think I'm a hustler con man. He's like, they're not wrong about that. And he's like, if I wasn't raised by my father, I have that in me, and I probably would have become that type of guy. He's like, I used to love to. I would say whatever I need to do to get the sale. Like that was my ethos. And my father like beat that out of me.
Yes.
So I stopped.
There's a video where he's like choking up and crying and getting emotional about it.
Oh yeah. I thought that was really nice.
So he acknowledges that the vibe that could be given off, and that it's not just in other people's heads. It's not just a vibe.
He's like, that's part of my personality
that I have to watch out for.
Yeah.
I mean, look, here's the thing with Gary. At the end of his videos, here's the main giveaway. He's not ever charging anything. Right. When you watch his content, everything that anyone has ever consumed from Gary and hates on, they've gotten for free. There's no promise of a course afterwards. There's no bait and switch. So if you want to hear more about how to hustle and win with baseball cards, click the link below.
Yeah,
it's not that. So that's a real indicator that I think he's just giving out, and like he's putting his money where his mouth is in terms of believing that you have to put out value and give it out. And he's not trying. There's no other hidden agenda. It's all like out on his sleeve.
Yeah,
like he's pretty clear about what he is and what he wants to happen and how he wants to be perceived and received by people, as opposed to these guys who are like on YouTube ads selling courses on how to make $1 million quick. If you just listen to what he's saying, most of it's, I get it, you have to like put in the work. I get it. I get where the funny is, obviously.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. I mean,
the funny is that he's constantly performing.
Yes.
But when he stops performing for a moment, I think he's very charming.
Right. So you got to see that side of him. I didn't watch the whole Schultz episode, but so what was weird is they featured Nimaz's impersonation, which was cool. But then in the thumbnail they put me.
Yeah.
I think that might have been just maybe because I wasn't mentioned explicitly. Like, I got the sense that maybe they felt like, let's put this guy on too, or like to give me some fate. Why would they do that?
I think maybe you're the best looking, or you're or you're the most like obviously Gary.
Maybe
of like,
but I also the day it was on, I posted a funny video that they liked, and the producer Alex of Flagrant went haha laughing my ass off like in my messages.
Yeah.
And then they posted a couple hours later the thumbnail with me on it. Yeah. So I thought maybe there was a connection. Like, dude, let's feature like let's do something with this guy too.
I felt bad for you because they showed the video of Nimaz and they were cracking up, and I was like, that must feel good for Nimaz.
It felt good. That was cool. Yeah. I got my mention there, and everyone has their moments.
No, for Nimaz though, they didn't watch your video and crack up.
Right.
That would have been even cooler.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have. Thanks. They did not watch my video. Sometimes those things sting, and they do sting sometimes. But, I've had my moments too, and we all will have our turn in the spotlight in the sun. So I'm not worried about it.
Schultz will laugh at everyone's video for 10 seconds in their lifetime.
Right. Everyone gets an Andrew Schultz.
Everyone gets an Andrew Schultz laugh in their lifetime.
Yeah. But it was... But it was so that stuff was happening before.
Yeah, so you're at the
I'm at this conference.
You're at this conference.
But the point, so what I'm just saying is I had to maintain, the thing is after the stand-up sets and I had very little sleep, I still had to maintain so much energy because I had to perform for like all day shooting as Gary in these and doing this like and have to keep my like comedic muscle going. And I couldn't let up. I was on like backup reserves. And
how many days was this conference?
It was just a day, but it was out of Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and I was working on so many other things too, outside of just like with composing stuff. So I was just like really burnt, but I was pushing. So I was just like eyes baggy, but like rubbing my eyes and just like going for it. Yeah. And it kind of eventually just put me into this like, and maybe being in comedy zone for so long and like then afterwards editing the stand-up clips and posting them, I maintained a sort of steady euphoria plus adrenaline plus euphoria that I hadn't felt since like my very first Battle of the Bands playing as a musician, which sort of initiated me in as a band, as a performer. There you have these moments where, when I won my first commercial, had my music in a commercial, I was like, okay, I'm a commercial composer. Like it's a validating thing. And doing stand-up last week was a validating thing. Right. And not only that, you not only feel proud of what you've done, you feel excited about what you will do. In a realistic way, not in a dreamy way. Oh, one day I'll be able. No, I've given myself permission to say, and I think that does start to change things. All of a sudden, other stuff started to book. I've had a few other things come my way since that. I have something booked in May, doing the industry room at the Broadway Comedy Club on a Saturday night, and then another guy reached out. Maybe like it sort of pushes the affirmations that you tell to yourself forward into now it's real. Yeah. Go now, you're doing it, and now you don't hold your own self back, wondering because maybe you don't put yourself into positions of pressure if you don't think if you don't know how yet you're gonna perform. Like I didn't really promote the show too heavily because I needed to get up there first, then invite myself to that space. So that was cool, and then all the things all my material started to like come together and solidify, because once I understood doing. And I know like I'm one bomb away from everything I'm saying being like, oh shit, forget it. But because you go through these peaks and valleys.
You should enjoy it though.
But I'm just saying, now that I knew that all the stuff I was working out at Mike's in front of like comics was not working and then killed live, I'm like, okay, I think I know how a joke can function live and how it can work. And now that you've just tested it and seeing what works, what doesn't work, how it can be improved, like it finally crystallized a little bit for me, the process of joke writing to joke performing. And because I hadn't had that yet really until those two shows. And then it makes all the other material I've been writing, it infuses it with confidence. Right. Like, okay, this in front of the right audience, this joke is funny. It validates everything that has been done and is yet to be done. Because for a while I haven't even been doing that much different material. I've just been doing the same kind of 5-7 minutes because I know it worked once. So I'm like relying on that so I can have the stage time, be comfortable, and then just do that material because it's tried and tested. But now I can feel comfortable playing with other material, knowing that I can, knowing that stuff that I'm coming up with might work in front of an audience. Might. So that was very cool. And on the heels of that, on the flight home, I'm like there and like all week, I have to slow down. The entire, like 24 hours I had in Minneapolis, I was just writing bits and they were just like coming to me constantly. I was like, oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Cause I think I was just in that zone. I'm like, oh, that's really good too. Oh, that's even. So I thought of all these new bits and then I was on the plane ride home. I'm like, the music part of my brain and the comedy part of my brain found each other. Wow. This was crazy. The music part of my brain, all of a sudden I realized I used to think, okay, so I do music. That I can do and I've done for a long time. Like I'm a musician. And I identify as that and I know what to do. Comedy is this whole other thing. Like I have to like start from the bottom. And then after performing it, I put out this video on my TikTok, which was describing that music and comedy are actually siblings in the same family with similar traits. They're different, but when I was doing it live and it was working and I felt comfortable, the same way I feel when I'm performing music, I was like, this feels like music. In other words, to me. And even afterwards, I was getting feedback from the headliner who was telling me like the way you come into the stage and doing it right just felt very natural to you. Like you've been doing it a while. And it's because like, so in music, you have like chords that are tension chords and then you have like chords that are resolution chords that feel stable. So like the punchline, the setups to your jokes are like the tense chords. and then the punchlines are the resolution.
Right.
And then the rhythm of the dynamic is the same thing that happens with music. You set up, punch, and the joke lands. Like there's ways to make it work.
Tension, resolve.
Release. Tension, pre-tension, set up, tension, context, pre-tension, tension, misdirection, back to the one. Tag it, bag it, sell it to the butcher in the store. That's what was happening in my head.
Wow.
It was starting to be like, like one was connecting with the other.
Yeah.
And I was seeing the parallels that exist. Obviously they are different, but
in the creation,
there's melody and there's
process.
comedic cadence, like the way you land, and it all matters and how it affects the audience.
Right. And the way you make that beautiful is the same way you writing a song can be beautiful, where you add your own cadence, your own unique cadence to it.
Yeah.
Where like instead of like resolving immediately, you make it like a little tenser, where someone else would resolve it quicker, and like that's your style.
Yes.
That's your voice.
Correct. And in musical terms, like you could get really technical about it, but the way I was looking at it was, I have been doing this a while. Even the comedy thing, I just have to sort of adapt to this slightly new style of music, which is comedy. And it is different, but I was finding more the similarities that were there to help me, as opposed to saying, okay, back to the drawing board, let's start a whole new creative journey again. It's like, no. Like just turn it this way a little bit and use a lot of these tools. It's not just that the music is helpful because I'm comfortable on stage and practically. It actually is the same in a way. I was starting to see all those circuits light up. Like, oh, that's how it works. So it sort of in performing stand-up, when doing it, it reveals something to you. And when you've been doing music, I've been doing music for like 15 years, you kind of are able to, I don't know how to properly articulate it, but like the mirror turns this way and you're like, oh, that's what's happening with an audience when you're doing stand-up. It's very musical to me. Yeah, because I have that brain, I've had that muscle worked out for a while.
We've spoken about with Jordan Peterson the why of the why. Like, why do certain songs work? It's because of that, like, tension release. It's because of that journey you take the audience through the song. So it's the same.
Yeah, and also it's sort of like an athlete who's been playing one sport for a while, and then they switch to a different sport. The processes are all very similar. The results are all very similar. You're trying to score that point. You just get there slightly differently. So you might not be as experienced in baseball as in basketball or whatever. And basketball's where all your fine-tuned skills are and you don't even have to think about it. But once you play enough baseball, you can start to use your same athletic strategies in one to the other. And you're just trying to score. You just have to get to that arrival differently. You know, that touchdown is different. So that's how it was happening for me. And I was like, And then the final cherry on top, and then I'll let you speak the rest of the podcast because I feel like
this is great.
The final cherry on top was, okay, not only do I have the musical background that can help inform the stand-up, but also how do I make them a part of each other in the same show?
Right.
And then I started thinking about all these ideas of like,
cool.
When I headline or have an hour or 45 minutes to do, like what I would do. And I thought of this whole thing, and I don't even know if I wrote it down, but it's sort of like a closer part of my set in which I would have the audience sing certain notes and like get them involved and then do bits based off of that.
Yeah.
You know, imitating other musical styles.
Yeah.
But like using just me in the audience, like things like that, big things I was thinking about, as opposed to like, I have a tight 5, that's all I have. Because the truth is, I have much more than that. I just haven't had the confidence yet to do it all and expand upon it all.
Yeah.
And giving yourself permission to do those things is huge. So then it all kind of congealed for me, and I saw it. And I also saw not only I saw the show and the act in my head and the recognition from people who I otherwise thought would be way above me and way beyond me, but I could see it projecting, like, based on just how the comics and the community was reacting to me here. And I'm getting a little too big in my head about it. Yeah. Like, I'll come back to Earth, but I just had that. I enjoyed that moment for me.
Yeah, it's nice to see you leave Earth.
Yeah,
honestly, it's nice to see that, because I feel like you force yourself back to Earth too much. So this is nice.
I do in general.
Yeah, because I think you're afraid of getting into a space like this because you're afraid of where it leads. Oh, like psychiatrically. But it's nice to see. It's nice to see you're letting yourself go a little bit.
I don't willfully avoid it. It just doesn't happen that much. I don't go now. I'm not going to think about it.
No, I don't think you try to generate it. I think most people try to generate these flow states.
I don't think they're so reliable. You know, you have to just do the work on a daily basis. So I'm very big into like not waiting for inspiration. No, I take advantage when it's there.
Yeah. I'm not that. Yeah, you can do both though. I mean, like, you can do both, but whatever. It's
Are you trying to get me to take mushrooms on the podcast right now, Michael? I don't necessarily. I don't know if I agree with you. I just like accept it when it comes. I'm like, here we go. This is oh wow, here we go. I think it's all of that pressure over the year, or whatever, how long I've been putting into it, finally bursting into some revelation a little bit that I enjoyed finally discovering.
Yeah,
but it actually took doing the work.
Would you push back on this revelation previously?
No, it's just few and far between because. I hadn't done that yet. It was all speculative. What would I do? What would it like if I did comedy and tried this stuff out? It was all speculation. Right. So I had nothing there, and I hadn't done any creative endeavor that was fully new. I kind of felt this when I started doing videos and they were popping off, and I discovered after years of trying what works with social media. Like that was always this like frustrated pursuit for me because you put stuff out, it doesn't work. You try this video, it doesn't work. And then when a couple things started popping off and the first video started doing well, I'm like, I see. Social media is the show, not the commercial. Like those big macro clarification moments. Yeah. It's the show. Oh, it's so obvious. You have to put good stuff out there for people to watch. I didn't realize that. I thought you just like promote yourself and then they find the good stuff. Same thing here. Oh, you do the stand-up. Oh, it is music. Oh, so I feel that. I don't avoid it. I go. I kind of lean in because it's like you don't get those moments often when things. Finally, like it's kind of like bursting through the door to discover the treasure, and you're putting in the work, and then you bust it, and you're like, there it is. Yeah. But most things don't feel as good as you think they're gonna feel, but this did, so I went with it. You know, in that kind of feeling. Yeah. Yeah. What's up with you?
And now you got. Can you talk about what you have coming up?
Is that not everything? Yet? I can't talk about everything. Stay tuned for announcements. There's certain things I can't talk about yet, but there is cool things in the works. And over the next few months, I'll be rolling that out, and we'll talk about it. Certain things I have to keep on DL at the moment, but it obviously will be rolled out soon. Cool. Yeah. Beyond that, it was a crazy week last week. That's awesome. And I feel it like I'm in a different place now.
Yeah. You seem to believe in it, in yourself more.
Do I?
Yeah. You seem to have embraced it more instead of hedging your bets.
Embrace what? Just like comedy as
that you can do it,
right?
That there's a place for you in it,
right? Yeah. It's funny. It's like one of those things where I think a lot of people, have to prove something to themselves, and then that thing starts to happen. But it can't happen yet until you believe it. But you can't. It's almost like when you don't have experience, you can't be confident in something. So you can't fake the confidence until you have the experience. And then once you have the experience, you have the confidence, and then more experience comes. It's a weird...
Yeah, there's probably an equation there. Experience plus confidence equals...
If you go into something and you're confident without experience, you seem like a cocky, overzealous douchebag. It's like, what is this guy? He's got no street cred, he hasn't done anything. Right. If you have the experience and you don't have the confidence, then maybe that's kind of a weird equation. But if you have the experience, that builds the confidence, but then that confidence will bring more experience. It's a funny thing. So that was that.
That's awesome, man. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. And I don't know if I sounded crazy cocky about it. I don't think I'm like going to take over the world anytime soon, but
you sound inspired.
Yeah, inspired is the word.
Which is cool. Yeah. Because that's not a very reasonable place to be.
Bitch, on the best day is. No, I do feel inspired.
It's not a logical place to be.
Inspired.
It's just it's an open place to be.
I guess so.
Spiritual.
How's the newsletter?
The newsletter's good. Last time we spoke about adapting it for TikTok. Yeah. So I did that with two of the stories. They did like double as good as any of my previous TikToks.
Is it the piano one, the bit where
the piano one and then the paralyzed one?
Yes.
So those were my two
in terms
attempts.
of what when you say better?
Well, just like the views I would get when I would do like little skits in the TikTok manner of like pointing the camera at yourself.
Right.
Those would get. I know these numbers aren't big, but they would get like 600. These got like closer to like 1,500. All right. Well, it's just an indication that like
in your metrics, that's good. I mean, as far as like by comparison,
it's more, I guess,
it's informative
and entertaining to a certain group of people.
Yeah, it's informative.
It's informative. Yeah, it's informative. So lean in. And I expected it to be a complete dud. I expected like two views because they were like 2 minutes long. They weren't long. They weren't like easy to digest.
So without making too much of it, what does that tell you?
It tells me I'm on the right. My instinct that I had to make it fully formed for TikTok, not an adaptation, but a TikTok, was right, and that if I keep doing it and keep getting better at it, there could be an audience for it, to drive people to the newsletter eventually, or not, or just that's where they consume it. But it's also fun. It's also challenging. Like I start out not knowing how I'm gonna do it. Like I have an idea, but I don't know technically how I'm gonna accomplish it. But like I figure it out. So yeah, that's been encouraging.
That was good. They were funny, and I can see. I sent you a video this past week of, I forget the creator's name. I would want to credit him, but he did an Everything Bagel skit, the origin of the Everything Bagel. But it was a brainchild that could have been yours,
right?
And it was a great manifestation, production wise, of what something funny in your mind could be.
Right. I could see myself writing a story like that, but it also turned me on to what's better off as a TikTok and not a written story. Like some of the stories I write are dialogue heavy. If it's too dialogue heavy, it should probably be acted out, not written.
Right.
You know. So like trying to take some of those dialogue heavy ones and make them into sketches. And then also trying like the weird stuff. Like there's like my whole life I've fantasized about like how do I get this weird idea out to people? And
but
like TikTok is the way to do it.
But your thing is always the written form is the final form, isn't it? In a lot of ways?
Yeah.
Ideally, you would want to have a successful blog that everybody reads and is obsessed with.
I would want to put out collections of books like once a year. Collections or publish in like the New Yorker a few times. Right. I mean, like
that you could see being like your creative flow, your zone.
Yeah, the written word is what I'm most interested in, but also like you have to contend with. Sometimes that's not the best format for certain things, and it's not the best way to reach people.
So but you do see certain things as screenplays that you've written, and certain things as film or whatever.
Yeah,
you have that too.
Yeah.
But as your general thing.
So no, TikTok, I wouldn't try to build a TikTok audience like you're doing. It would be an outlet for a certain kind of idea that works best that way.
Right.
And if I could find again those 10,000 people who like a video, and then be like, if you like this video, check out this newsletter or check out this podcast.
Are there comparable creators you look at that are successful versions of what you would want to do?
Yeah, there's
writers-wise?
Simon Rich.
Oh.
Simon Rich is probably like the best. He's like, you know who he is? You know that movie, The American Pickle?
Yes.
That's based on one of his short stories.
It's very much something you would write too.
Yeah. He
fell into a thing of pickles.
I found out about him fairly recently.
The movie was very weak.
I did not like the movie.
Oof.
The story though was great.
Yes.
Like, well, that's what I mean. That shouldn't be a movie. It should be a short story in the New Yorker. And that's what it was.
I got it.
He like at his TV. She has another TV show based on his short stories. None of them
literally just falls into a thing of pickles and wakes up in the future.
Yeah.
That idea is very funny.
Yeah, it's a very funny idea.
It stops there. The funny in the movie stops there.
The movie, I think, I'm so out on Seth Rogan.
Yeah.
I used to be so out on him. I think he like ruined I'm not.
He ruined the genre he created.
No, not the genre, but like I think his like. I don't know. I guess
persona.
We can get into a whole Seth Rogan thing. His vibe.
I don't want kids. Who wants kids?
Yeah. But it's not just. It's like his vibe is phoning it in life. Like that's his persona of like why sort of try hard.
Right.
But then like when you get into a role like that, you have to like fully care.
What do you mean by phoning it in? Like whatever. I don't know.
Like well, here's the he went on Mark Maron and made fun of Jews and specifically Hasidic Jews who support Israel. And like, I really get where he's coming from. Like, cause he feels like I'm Jewish. I can make fun of my own people.
Well, yeah, you're a Holocaust denier, Michael.
And at the end of it, it was like, he thought it was a funny bit. But the part where it hurts the movie is that in the movie, he plays a Hasidic Jew from a shtetl who falls into a vat of pickles and wakes up in the future.
Yeah.
The part that didn't work so much is he never fully got or embraced the character of Hasidic Jew.
Right.
He phoned it in. He was like, I know Hasidic Jews. They're like stupid, backwards dummies who believe in God. So you could tell that's the amount of effort he put into that part of the character. And then the whole thing just sort of disintegrates after that. Because that's his character of like, I don't want kids. I just want to play video games.
Nothing
Yeah, exactly.
No depth. It's the same thing we said about the movie, about the show Hunters, remember?
Yeah.
We hated that shit. We're like, hey, I had a Jewish grandmother. Let me see if I can make a whole show about it. And he orders chicken soup at the diner because that's what Jews do.
Yeah. I'm watching a James Gray movie now. He's the guy who made Ad Astra.
Oh, that movie sucked.
So right. It's not for everybody. It's not for everyone. He makes these movies with Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
So whatever. Just in contrast to that, it's about
we are here on Uranus and the planet Neptune, 500 yards away, and I didn't love you. I didn't love your mother. That's my Tommy Lee Jones.
And they
I still love you. That I don't care that you love me. Let me go. I didn't care. You know, I guess in that monotone voice.
And they just totally ignored the like time difference of planets. Like,
what was going on? The movie.
It was a movie about like it was a very like the type of movie I love, boring movies where nothing happens.
Nothing.
But they marketed it as like a space adventure. That was
you
the problem.
like the deception.
I love movies that I would never recommend to a friend. Like I would never sit down with my wife and watch this movie.
Never. It was a plane. I saw it on the plane.
Yeah. So I'm watching one now. Right. Awful plane movie.
You're right. It was like Ad Astra is sweeping the nation.
They're on the moon. They're like shooting each other out of like cars.
It happens for 3 seconds and the rest of it is.
Yeah, it's about a father and son.
And nothing happens.
Yeah, nothing
them.
happens. Yeah, I love those movies.
Oh my god, that
so
was funny.
he made another movie about this family living in like Brighton Beach or whatever, just to contrast it with Hunters. And like this family owns a laundromat. And like I'm watching it, and there's a scene in the laundromat, and the dad yells at the son, and he walks back, and then you see on the wall there's like a tiny little picture of the Lubavitcher Rebbe on the wall. Like not a religious family, but like that's so true. Like these Russian families living in Brighton Beach who are not religious would have a little sticker of a Rebbe on the wall.
The opposite of Seth Rogan.
That's the type of detail of someone who really inhabits the world that makes a film come alive, and that's why Hunters was dead, and that's why Pickle's Story was dead, because they don't have that understanding.
American Pickle, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
You know what's interesting is I even feel like to the non-affiliated audience, those details have a weird subconscious emotional effect, even if they don't notice.
Right.
So it's like when you're watching a caricature that lacks depth, you might not be aware of why it doesn't feel real, but the Jews or whichever culture it's trying to represent does. And it affects everybody because you're watching something that just lacks depth and something compelling about it.
A friend of mine said the most brilliant thing once. It was right after college. He had this job he hated, and he was obsessed with opening his own business. So he would go home every night and like work out the financials of opening up a kosher bar in New York City. This was like his obsession. Very grounded, like really spreadsheet after spreadsheet and market research and everything. And he was ready to like invest in it and quit his job and do it. And someone came to him and they're like, do you, like, how badly do you want to run this bar? And he's like, I don't know, not really. I just hate my job and I think it'll do well. And he's like, because this guy owned bars. He's like, here's my one piece of advice. If you don't want to be in that bar, no one else is going to want to be in that bar. Your energy coming into work every day will be contagious. And if you don't love it, the bar is going to die because no one else is going to want to be there. And I think it's the same way with movies. Like you can feel the way people feel making the movie. It just it comes through some way.
I mean, it's everybody. That's a true, tried and tested truism about all artistic and any kind of pursuit. Like with songwriting, we used to say, if you can 100% get behind this song and think it's worth hearing, nobody will want to hear it. You have to be the first advocate that really believes in it.
Right.
The other thing is about process. I keep seeing these videos and I kind of swipe past them because I already agree with them, where it's like goals happen along the way, but the process is what you should be obsessed with. Not the goals, not where you're going to reach. If you don't like what you're doing along the way, but want to get to a certain point, like out of this other job or to this specific status point, you're going to be miserable because then it'll happen. You'll be like, oh, that's not what I expected it to be. You really have to be in love with what you're doing every single day. And it's true. Like I found that like with music and trying to get songs placed in films and television and stuff, those were amazing days. But the months leading up to them were also great. I just loved making it and doing it. Process, right? But it's true. I do love it. Like you have to love that stuff, just like you love writing it, no matter where it ends up. If you don't, you're doomed to fail because those little things will leave things. When you hit the milestones, they might leave something to be desired if you don't love what you're doing and being constantly fulfilled by it.
Right.
then you hope that these goals will help move things along so you can continue to do what you want to do.
Right. So I think you can tell in a movie when someone's not in love with a part of the character, or they don't fully understand where that part of the story comes from.
Right.
It trickles in. So I mean, Simon Rich is probably the best example of what I want to do. There's somebody. Oh, it's George Saunders, who I mentioned another time. He wrote Pastoralia. He won the Booker Prize, which is like a big deal for one of his other books.
This is really in your world. I don't follow any of this stuff.
Yeah. It's like George Saunders is like,
in other words,
one
boring.
of the great American writers.
I'm just kidding. It's cool. Yeah, these
thanks. Well, it's different.
You can take hot steamy dumps on some of the things I do. We invite that.
It's not performance. What you do is performance. Like you want to get a rise out of the crowd.
I'm a whore.
Well, I think that's your art, and
right.
That's your art. You love being on stage and working a crowd.
Yeah,
like that's
your stage is a different thing. It's a different
I like
medium.
working like a paragraph. Like that's my.
And you like working. You like getting in the head
of
people. Right. And having an impact, but not in a live or performative setting.
Right.
That kind of thing.
If I could do it without people, that would be ideal.
Well, we should do the podcast live. When we're huge, we'll do the podcast live, and I'll bring you right out there. And you'll, I think you might enjoy it more than you think.
There's this.
Imagine a
no,
Q&A.
I do. I know. Some of my best moments were like speeches I gave at like bachelor parties.
I know which ones we're talking about too. My most middle son. That was great. That was one of the best.
My middlemost son.
Is it middlemost? Or
my middlemost son. Yeah.
My middlemost son. That is a great speech.
Yeah. So I
underappreciated by the room, but I was dying.
People liked it. I think people liked it.
Yes, but they didn't. I think they all liked it. It was a hit, but I felt like I liked it even more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you were,
I was laughing on my own.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
so
I don't know.
That would be my like. If I could write a story and then perform it for an audience, I think that would probably be my happiest.
Weddings and bachelor weekend speeches. If you could do that for a living.
Well, I mean, I could do it with a story. I wonder. Bachelor parties are special because
Michael's doing a dramatic read this weekend.
No, people do that.
Yeah.
They have open mics for storytellers
for sure.
and things like that.
Nice. Yeah. So no, obviously we have different vices and addictions of what gets us off, but
I'm still working on my Keurig set though.
Okay, I can't wait to hear that. That's all yours. You can have that joke. One thing that was fun, Michael, and maybe it's something for down the road, is when I was riffing bits off of you, and we were kind of writing bits and then testing them.
Yeah, we're good at that.
That was good.
Yeah.
And I thought that was another thing I thought of post stand-up set. I was like, man, so I've been writing and writing, but then I threw it to Michael, and then he tossed it back with some new stuff.
Yeah.
And then we ran that through the experiment, and it worked. That was cool.
I could be your
slave.
Adam McKay.
Whatever. I mean, I've heard of, obviously, I know stand-ups who write with people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So what I'm asking you, Michael, I'm just saying.
Yeah. A lot of times you'll hear a stand-up throw out a name you've never heard before, and they're like, he's the most important person in my life.
Right.
Like, I couldn't do anything without him.
That's what I'm saying, Michael.
I always found that interesting. Like Neil Brennan and Chris Rock is a good example. No one knew who Neil Brennan was until they knew.
But then, I realized the value of having another audience when I bounce a joke off you and then you like enhance it. It's more fun because it's been a solitary pursuit for me doing comedy. Right, doing these videos, all of it. I have this dream of having like a whole media company where I'm not like Barstool per se, but I get to do this stuff with a team.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to do this in Minneapolis, they're filming me and miking me up, and we get to have fun with it. I like. I'm an extrovert, so I like that as opposed to the lab, which is fun, but that can wear on me.
Yeah,
and it gives you accountability. It gives you a sense of collaboration, which I always enjoy more. That's always preferable to me.
Yeah.
Writing comedy can be difficult because sometimes you're like, no, this is funny. This is the way I want it to be. But I'm generally much more favorable to collaborative things. Some people don't like to work with anybody, but I'm not like that.
Yeah, I find it tough. I like editing a lot. Like I like seeing a stand-up set and thinking of ways to improve it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, how's Miami? Let's talk Miami for a second.
I was there. I went Sunday night to... No, not even Sunday night. Monday morning to Tuesday morning.
A last-minute wedding read?
Yeah, a good friend said it Thursday night, said I'm getting married on Monday night.
Wow.
It's a small wedding. He's like, you guys just had a kid, so I don't expect you to come. But Sarah's very cool. She's like, the flights are like $180. You should go. So I went. Miami, the moment I got there, I just, like this, it felt like the city itself was saying, this place is not for you.
I love Miami. Can you explain?
I like it. I feel like in Miami, Miami's a little bit like
great Will Smith song, by the way.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the whole
City
time.
of Heat.
Miami's like a place where like it's like high school where like certain personalities and certain good-looking people do well, and like everyone else doesn't. I feel like LA might be like that too, where like it's just like it's just meant for certain types of people. Certain types of people thrive there. And then I just feel like if I moved to Miami, nothing would go my way.
Interesting.
It's just like
not based on anything.
Thing after thing just doesn't go my way there.
I thought
like people don't want me there. It's like
I thought with Miami, what's happened recently is it's gotten a little more culture. It's gotten a little more vibe to it. There's like an arts district. There's a lot of food, especially kosher food for me. There's a ton of that.
Apparently, it's the best kosher food city.
It is. 100%.
Who said that?
Me.
Eat food, peace, pray, love.
Julia Roberts?
No, I can't believe I can't remember the name now. Anyway.
A foodie? Like an Instagram foodie?
Yeah, Instagram. It's like peas and carrots or something.
Peas, love, and carrots?
Said it's the best kosher food in the world. It
has the best food, 100%. Yeah. I mean, the Surfside, Aventura area.
Yeah, so that's where I stayed.
Did you eat at Asairico?
No, I went to the supermarket and got
oh, how
sushi.
Delicious. I love the soup. It's my favorite. You didn't go to the restaurants?
I guess you didn't have time. There. I literally had an hour and a half.
I think it's myself. I mean, I love Florida and I love Miami. I do.
I wanted to live there.
But I love visiting
when I was there. I get the attraction of it for sure.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place.
Yeah.
I just feel like I don't belong there. Like I got there. I walked around the airport for half an hour.
More than when you visited LA?
I couldn't find the exit of the airport. That was the first sign.
Right.
I just couldn't figure out how to get out of the airport.
Okay.
Then I get out and I'm looking for the Uber thing and I'm walking for another 20 minutes trying to find where the Ubers are.
Right.
And then I just see these cabs. So I'm like, maybe the airport doesn't want to work with Uber, so they make it impossible to find it.
Uh-huh.
So I get it. I asked the guy how much the cab is. It's like $5 more than the Uber. And I'm like, I don't know, whatever. I guess I have to take it. And then I get in the cab and on the highway, he's like, oh no, where you're going, it's like $20 more than the thing. He wouldn't turn the AC on. So I'm like sitting in there like 45 minutes. I'm sweating. I'm paying a lot of money. I'm like pissed off. And I'm just like, this is Miami for me. Just sitting in a cab, just being in the wrong car.
Right.
This is what it's going to be like for me.
I think I've been going to Florida a bunch over the last couple of years, just going down to Boca and then jumping to Miami.
I think you would do well there. I actually.
Are you thinking pretty?
My first thought there actually was I like that you guys are here now, but I could see how like you could end up here
in Florida.
Yeah, in Miami, like it's a cool life there.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Miami itself maybe, but anywhere else in Florida, the problem is it could be nice and pleasant, but you're not really adjacent to any city. I feel like it's like almost cultureless.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But Miami isn't like that. I don't think I'd live in Miami. Maybe.
Why not?
I don't know.
Is it expensive?
Did you see Parker? Sorry, did you see Friends?
That's where I stayed. Yeah, I stayed with Jeremy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Perfect for him. Miami.
Do
they love it?
Well, he's gonna be. He'll be on the podcast.
I would love to have him on. A future guest.
It ain't perfect, but I think he likes it.
Okay.
I mean, he's a block and a half away from the beach and from all the kosher restaurants. It's like amazing.
But it's trying it out kind of thing, from what my understanding about.
Yeah,
Miami.
I think as much as everyone is.
Everybody. That's another time. Everybody I talk to.
Yeah.
I used to think it was just us. Here's a good theme for us to discuss. It's never just you.
Yeah.
You always think you have these, like, you're going through something. I feel like everything that individuals go through is more often than not, probability-wise, universal.
Yeah.
Which I think is so interesting.
Yeah.
How many times have you been going through something or whatever, and then you find out 1,000, like, so many, I was like, I had the same thing.
Yeah.
And you never want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You think it's just you. Here I am, moving here from the West Coast after 10 years, back to the East Coast. That's been my experience. Obviously feeling amorphous and unsure and unsettled and adapting and all of that. Mm-hmm. Thinking it's just me, because who else moved across the country? Some people have moved and relocated. But I guess a lot of people sort of have, and it's like a post-COVID amorphous feeling. Everybody I talk to, well, just moved to a new suburb or whatever, they moved out of the city. How's it? Well, it's figuring it out. That's like the answer I get consistently from different people in different communities and stuff. And I'm like, that's interesting. I feel like this trauma, post-pandemic trauma, has like socially affected everybody in a weird way, where people don't know where they are. Yeah. It's swept the ground out from under people.
You know what the word for it is? Precarious. there's like I read, I forgot who said this, but they said like we're the precarious generation.
I don't think that's a word, Michael.
Where everything, our careers have never felt stable. Like our finances never felt stable, and now living situations don't feel stable.
Interesting.
Because of the pandemic of like, I'm here now, who knows what's gonna happen?
Right.
Like
you can't project.
Exactly.
It disrupted the whole sense of projection. Right. Beforehand, I was like, I know where I'll be next year in the year. I'll probably be here, and I'm fine with that.
And it used to be like if you become a lawyer and like you get into a good law firm, in 10 years you'll be a partner.
Right.
Like you can project that forward and buy a house because in 10 years you're going to be a partner. It's not like that anymore, even with the stable careers, let alone all the other careers.
I think that's been...
But that feeling is like,
that's been the scariest thing post-COVID, I think, in that COVID broke that fourth wall of like anything can happen.
I think Trump did.
No. Maybe. Yes. No, the point is, what I mean is when I
Trump allowed COVID to happen, like in the collective, like conscious.
No. But what I mean is, yes. What do you mean? Like Donald Trump's going to be president? And yes. So that was maybe that was the first one, the first hit. Yeah. But the final blow was like, what do you mean? We're going to cancel the NBA and all sports this year? Give me a break.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And you're like, no. What do you mean, What do you mean? Kids are just like not going to go to school for the rest of the year?
Right.
What are you just going to cancel all schools? Every single one all over the world? Come on. And then, so it just kept breaking those precedents that we rely on as stable fixtures that don't change. Yeah. Wait. What do you mean? You're just going to cancel every single concert on Earth?
Yeah.
For what? A year? That doesn't happen. And it did.
Yeah.
And I just think we're shell-shocked by the fact that happened.
Yeah.
And it messes with your sense of stability and like your sense of mental stability. That,
for sure.
You know, I could be here, but who knows? Like anytime you plan things and think, like the weight of plans has been shaken.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is that's always been the reality. Just now people are acting like it.
But it really hasn't, because the pandemic is the first of its kind in our lifetime.
No, but the fact that you can plan as much as you want, but anything can happen.
But that was always a theoretical until the pandemic. Think about it. Even 9/11, which was such a big trauma in our like teenage years, a week later we were back at school.
Before the pandemic, what could you plan a year in advance that you for sure knew was going to be possible?
You could plan anything and assume more likely than not that you'll be at school tomorrow and this will rise again.
But it was just an assumption.
Yes,
the likelihood of that plan.
But every year up until the pandemic,
yeah,
those things generally fell in exactly as they were supposed to. The NBA started at this time. School started in September. Summer,
yeah, but
this vacation happened. This thing,
but
happened.
Other things.
I'm saying we didn't have this. We haven't been living in this cycle of everything is up in the air. But now we are in a sense where that possibility is very real because things actually did shut down for as long as they did. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, specifically with like events and things getting canceled, sure. But I think the percentage likelihood that something would go as planned, I think is probably about the same as it was in 1995.
But nothing happened then to demonstrate that it was possible.
Right, so we didn't behave that way. But if someone plans a vacation in 95 for 1997, the likelihood, let's say that was 10% likely to go as planned, it's the same 10% likelihood in 2022 as it would be in...
I guess I don't see how that affects any psychologically. You're planning for, let's say, for the year or the next 6 months.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying now we act like it. Instead of acting like it's not possible, now we act like it is.
But it never happened to the point that it did, where things that that could never be canceled, like all of school, that were fixtures in society, like our institutional fixtures. That's never going to happen. It's like what? No one's going to go outside. What? Come on, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but they didn't. So the fact that really happened, I think, has shook people.
For sure,
it was always a possibility. We never lived with that possibility because it didn't happen. So now that it's happened and broke that, it's almost like a violation in our relationship to reality. It's like you're in a relationship with reality, and reality punched you in the face. It's like the first time a husband beats the wife. It's like they always got into fights, but it never got physically abusive. And if you step over that line and physically abuse a partner or something, now you're in a different place where you're always looking at your partner with suspect.
No reality. There's just your perception of reality. The reality was anything can get canceled at any time. Your perception was there's some sort of stability.
Perception is reality.
Perception. Perception.
Perspective.
Perception. Context is king.
What I'm saying is there was always the possibility in a toxic relationship in a husband and wife for the husband to beat the wife. It was always possible. She didn't live with that fear because it wasn't likely. But then if he does it, all of a sudden that likelihood does change is all I'm saying. Now we are in a different situation because he's done it before, so the likelihood goes up that he could do it again. Because he's showing that he's capable of doing it.
I'm saying it was
this is a
always
strange
the same likelihood.
Yeah, I don't know if the math is true on that.
We have to have a mathematician on.
Okay, let's get someone.
Yeah.
I have someone in mind. I'll tell you after the pod who it is. He recently texted us.
All right.
Yeah, so we'll have him on. You're thinking.
Mathematician?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'll tell you after the pod. For discretion.
Right, that's a good place to end.
Yeah, I think so. In any event, I just feel like everything is shaken up and we're still doing what we can, but hopefully, I don't know. It feels like we've spoken about this, that like we've had our generational trauma.
Yeah.
It doesn't compare. Obviously, you don't want to compare to previous generations, but we went through something semi-real.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm saying that among the ranks,
has.
the ranks of like historical things that you hear about, we had a lucky streak.
Well, we had 9/11 and then Trump and now this. Those are three like this can't happen in America. We don't believe that. Did you just
compare Trump to 9/11?
Trump getting elected was like
as shocking.
A newcomer.
As shocking, you're saying.
As shocking
or as bad?
No. I'm not saying bad. I'm not saying bad. As shocking.
I'm clarifying that.
As
yes, as
the
surreal.
likelihood was 0%, and then it went to 100%.
Right.
Like there won't be yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
And then the pandemic. So our idea, right, of like us,
Russia,
maybe us especially
in our lifetime, but that doesn't affect us as directly. But we hope for the best. But that also these things that are like breaking norms of what you think is just life as we know it.
Yeah, that's why I think like I think I obviously could improve this. You know how like when one person commits suicide, it's like contagious, like because now it's a possibility. Right. I think when possibilities of like the 0% likelihood thing happens, it opens the doors for other things. So
there's a thread here from Trump to pandemic.
I
to Russia.
I think like mythically in the way we
mystically
think,
or mythically,
like mythically, like things I'll try to articulate, like things can only happen that humanity sort of allows to happen. Like Putin can't invade if like collectively we don't allow it in some sort of way. Like
so that's your military strategy. Putin don't invade. Putin don't invade.
Yeah, like
he stopped. Yes.
It was so impossible, but now like we all believe anything's possible. So it almost like
gives permission.
Yeah, it gives permission to someone like that to do something impossible.
What you're saying is probably true in like
I can't believe you're not pushing back on this.
No, in the arc of history, it's not like we were making things up out of thin air. It's more like when certain things become violated and pushed, you push the line to here. Everybody accepts it as a new reality, and now everybody meets up into that point.
Yeah, like when we put a man on the moon, that it was like, well, why can't we make the internet? Why can't we cure cancer if we did that? It's like, if the whole world shut down, why can't we do this? Yeah. Buckle up, baby.
No, wait. Here's one controversial thought to end. Okay. Disney just announced. Did you hear what they're doing at the theme parks? It's causing a huge stir.
No.
I'm going to Florida for Passover. I'm going to be near the park, so this is very relevant to me. I think they announced that they're getting rid of all references to boys and girls at the theme parks, making it fully gender neutral.
Wow.
What are your thoughts on that?
And
people are going
it's
crazy.
Fine. Who cares?
You do.
Yeah. Why?
You don't think that is so bizarre?
I mean, is it so bizarre? Why do there need to be references in the first place to boys and girls?
Well, because if you're gonna, first of all,
they know
they're trying to appeal to such a small subset of the population. Do you ever see the people? First of all, if you want to be inclusive towards a different community, a trans community, why does that mean the negation of the gender binary, the elimination of boys and girls?
But who holds the gender binary so dearly? They're like, my boy needs to see the word boy.
I hear that.
Who cares?
Maybe it's not as big a deal as the people, getting upset about it.
That's what I would think.
But I do think it's just a very bizarre aspiration. Like, let's not refer, like, I don't get who it really helps.
Do you know why they're doing it? Probably because of the "don't say gay" stuff they got pushed back on.
Maybe, which I think is, from what I've looked into, is as a, you know what, it's not don't say gay.
I honestly don't even know what it is, but I know Disney.
There's a bill in Florida. My understanding is
it.
they're saying that this for like first or kindergarten to third grade, don't have sex education and gender education for kids that age.
Oh, and it got.
And now they're saying forbidding saying the word gay or something like that. They don't want kids that like from kindergarten. Right. This is probably the kindest way I'm thinking about the bill.
Right.
I'm seeing it from like the right wing media sources, but the left wing is claiming they're banning the word gay in the classroom, and the right wing is saying no. We're just saying don't teach kids, don't impose sexual ideology or gender ideology on children. It's not for them. And let parents talk about it, which seems reasonable to me. But the point is, I think that this is a very weird place to be like, you know, like the Leah Thomas is the swimmer who was ranked 450 something as a male swimmer and is now number 1 as a woman. Yeah. And she's up there with a bump, and you're like, with a bulge. I mean, it's like, that's a man, baby.
She didn't get sexual reorientation surgery.
I don't know. I don't.
How do you compete?
I don't know.
I thought like at least physically you had to be.
But physically you also have the testosterone and all the years and years of building up muscle mass as a man, and then you try. I don't know what she is. I don't know what's going on.
Oh yeah, I'm curious about that.
But a lot of women are getting pissed off. You know, imagine you're like the father of a woman who's been training and training and training. What?
The blowback is coming.
I think it is. I really think it is. And it's going to be like feminists versus the trans community, like people who like stand up for women's rights or whatever. Now, I don't want to stick something in the ground here and like make this my case, because it all seems very like small to me, like a small corner of the debate. This whole thing, but I'm also I was gonna do a video once of the new version of "Kiss the Girl" from Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Baya maya baya my, we gonna kiss the person. Whoa whoa, sha la 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 la. Baya my, you got the person too shy. He gonna kiss the person. I find it weird. I find it a very misguided virtue signal to say, let's not talk about boys and girls anymore. Like, who says that's offensive? And the other thing is, have you seen the demographic of people who go to Disney World? They're storm the Capitol people.
As Tim Dillon said, it's 50-year-old couples who's never seen each other's genitals.
And they're in wheelchairs and they're not disabled. They're walking around in motorized carts. These are storm the Capitol folk, Trump supporters who are paying the bills at Disney World.
No, but their employees were pissed off about the don't say gay stuff.
Is that what it came from?
And I have to imagine they wanted to change the conversation in the press to like, now this is what people talk about.
Obviously, because I don't trust Disney as a massive corporation to like actually care about this.
Morals,
right? So, but they're trying to like appeal to what they think is popular, and my whole thing is also, I don't think that idea is popular.
Right.
You're virtue signaling to try to appeal to the masses, and it's not a masses.
Well, that the employees is the thing. All these corporations have their leaders
and human resources.
They're all
very
the employees
liberal, very
actually
woke.
demand it. So what are you going to do? Like Netflix is the same thing.
Right.
Like it ended up being like 12 people on Netflix who were pissed off about Dave Chappelle.
Right.
But it's internal, so you have to do something about it.
Right. It falls to me in the category of like this fringe and then most reasonable people who can say whatever. Yeah. Like a reasonable trans person saying, I don't care that they say boys and girls. Hey, it's not trauma to me to hear that.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And that's even most reasonable people who are trans might feel that way, but we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So we're distracted by this conversation, which is, you could say it's a small conversation or it's a small amount of people, but it's Disney, which is huge.
Yeah.
So it affects culture and media and everything.
Yeah.
But the Daily Wire is now putting $100 million into children's animation, so that'll be fun.
Are they really?
Yeah, they announced that they're investing into children's programming. Now that's a problem too, mainly because creatives, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
But I do, this is the final point. I do think that as the woke gets more and more crazy, regular people start to do stuff for the right of center. So in other words, like Adam Carolla and TJ Miller and all these people who aren't conservative comics or entertainers are being embraced by those outlets. So that art on the right of center will get better because it will just be more centrist.
That's interesting, right.
So that's my hope, that children's animation will just look like regular animation.
Right.
And not be all like, here's a song about the founding fathers and why they are perfect. George Washington never did anything wrong. Don't say he did anything wrong. You know, like, it'll just be normal.
Right.
And the woke will just become the woke, and you'll have Kiss the person. Whoa.
There will be normal artists who want their money and they'll take it. Like,
and they'll be like, okay, here's a good. They're sponsoring my tour. I'll do it with them. They're just normal. All they want is normal.
Yeah.
You know, whatever, and not like agenda. as it's sort of like with COVID, as more and more people started to say, okay, I think it's done. Yeah. Those people were not Trumpies. They were just like, I think it's done.
Are you going to see Ben Shapiro in Florida?
Yeah.
Cool.
No, I'm going to Orlando. I'm not going to see him. But I'll send regards. I'll send him a letter.
I just heard a rabbi talking about, he's like in touch with Ben Shapiro for some reason, and they're like, I'm trying to get Ben Shapiro to come to Israel and just give an hour-long talk on the human soul, and everyone laughed. He's like, wouldn't that be amazing if Ben Shapiro just talked about the soul for an hour?
I guess
something funny, but no, because like it's like he's so Jewish, but like it's like that would be.
He was making a joke.
He's making a joke. He's making a joke. He's making a joke.
Mm. Well, anyway, that's the latest in pop culture media here on Buckle Up, episode 25. Sha-la-la-la-la-la, by your mic, kiss the person. We finger scissored Michael.
I initiate it.